Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. J.D. Power ranks Sleep Number #1 in customer satisfaction with mattresses purchased in-store and online. And now, all mattresses are on sale. Plus, free home delivery during our Cyber Week sale. Limited time. For J.D. Power 2025 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's ride! Woo!
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, Matt!
Shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Yes, sir. And a Mr. Toby Tom plate. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there, make it a good one. We're heading to Tampa. 13 minutes. Greg Auman will be here. Give us a preview of the Saints at the Bucs. Russ Mitchell in hour number 3. Recap this past weekend. Look ahead to the CFP. Remember, Russ has a Heisman vote. Diego Pavia is now the betting favorite to win the Heisman, by the way, after their blowout win at Tennessee. Could he actually do it without playing this weekend remains to be seen. But we'll talk about that with Russ coming up in hour number 3. We'll preview Bama, Georgia in the SEC Championship game, of course, as well. Really good news here. Breaking news. Really good news on the LSU front for National Signing Day. Havon Finney, 4-star cornerback out of California, has officially sent in his paperwork, and he is now an LSU Tiger. This is fantastic news. So Havon Finney, if you don't know the story, was the 5-star #1 cornerback in America for 2027. So he was the #1 guy at his position in the country for 2027 out of the LA area. He reclassed, so he's enrolling early, basically skipping his senior year of high school. So he reclassed to 2026, and so he's still a top 100 overall prospect. But we had Havon Sr. on AFR back when Havon committed, and really made it very clear that this was a please find that for me, by the way, that this is a Corey Raymond deal, right? Like, Havon's here to play for Corey Raymond. I mean, that's it. And so if Corey, I know a lot of people have asked about Corey, this is a really good indicator. You know, the way that signing day has sort of shaked out here for LSU is a pretty good indicator that Corey Raymond's sticking around. I don't have any reason to believe otherwise, like why he wouldn't otherwise stick around. But Havon Finney, now a member of the class as well. Des Ellis, cornerback, is part of the class as well. You look at the other DBs, like Isaiah Washington, who's a safety, Aiden Hall out of New Orleans, safety. I get it. Corey doesn't coach safeties, but they're the secondary. Yes, I mean, great news that Havon Finney is part of this class. And that was one of the big ones that you absolutely wanted to get in this class. So as you look at it now, you've not had a decommitment yet today, which is important to note. That with all of the tumult and flux around signing day, you've not lost anybody. You're still waiting on a few to make their decisions. and to formally send in the paperwork, but nobody has said they're not coming to LSU or has decommitted or anything along those lines. So that's fantastic news. You haven't lost anyone in that respect. You are still waiting on a few. The biggest one to sign today that we were sort of waiting on was Richard Anderson and Lamar Brown, were those two. Anderson did, in fact, sign. We reported, told you this at the beginning of the show, reported that after wavering because of uncertainty about who the position coach would be, if Blake Baker would be back as defensive coordinator, Frank Wilson, if he would have a role on staff, Richard Anderson's head coach at Edna Carr, Bryce Brown, and his representatives were at Football Ops last night for a 3-hour meeting with Lane Kiffin, with Billy Glasscock, the GM, with Blake Baker. And as I understand, they left that meeting feeling much more comfortable about the process. They were given, what I was told, clarity leaving that meeting. So that's fantastic. Also, I had 2 separate conversations today with folks who have had interactions in this respect with Billy Glasscock, the new GM, in the last 36 hours. And both effectively said the same thing, like, super impressive. Great job with the presentation of how he'll build a roster, how he'll build the staff. They said Lane Kiffin was authentic. He was transparent. And you might argue, and I know the criticisms of Brian Kelly at the end, which were that he wasn't really involved in recruiting. And to what degree that's true, I don't know. I think there's the thing I often say is, you got a roster of 120 players. You can, whatever answer you're looking for, you can find it. You can find guys that had a great relationship with the coach, find guys that didn't. Same with like a teacher. You had your favorite teacher in school, whoever that was. It had to be somebody in your class that hated your teacher. It's going to be the nature of it. But either way, whatever the case may be there, the good news is that it sounds like the guys that have come in are making a really good first impression on recruits, on some of the agents, high school coaches, parents. And that's fantastic to see. So all things good in that respect. Steve Wiltfong earlier today had I guess they're calling them Fong bombs, like a Woj bomb, but not a Woj bomb because Woj doesn't do bombs. They're Fong bombs. And he is predicting LSU to flip quarterback Landon Duckworth from South Carolina. That has not yet happened as of now, but they are predicting. Everyone's predicting that. Wiltfong was first to have it. And Steve Wiltfong was on Andy and Ari. I mean, we got to make the drop.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it until you just looked at me. When you paused, I'm like, what's he pausing? And I turned and Matt's just smiling. What's the song? Bang Bang?
Bang Bang, yeah.
Yeah, Jesse and Ari.
Yeah. That's Nicki Minaj's part when she's talking about Jessie J and Ariana Grande. Jesse and Ari. Andy and Ari. It's so good. We need to get that. We need to get the drop and make that. Anyway, Lane, here's Wiltfong. While we play this, let's get that drop. Wiltfong talking about Lane's impact as a recruiter.
The bump of Lane Kiffin at LSU is going to resonate with 2027s. Now, he is not a recruiter that's a 9-inning guy, but he's as charismatic a head coach as there is in the country. So when guys sit down in front of him, he's going to make them feel at home. They're going to trust that he's going to turn LSU around with what he did at Ole Miss and some of the jobs he's had historically. He's going to be a great storyteller. He's worked for Pete Carroll, Nick Saban, and he's been around some of the best football players that college football has had over the last 25 years. And again, he's articulate in his message for the program. He's excited to be at LSU. And so with that, the Tigers are already formidable on the trail. Top 10 classes consistently. Hasn't mattered who the head coach is. You're bringing in Lane Kiffin to maximize the guys you have on your roster.
It is worth mentioning that Lane Kiffin also, when he met for his introductory press conference, pull up 24, Musa, added one to your folder, 24 from Monday. When Kiffin met with reporters and he was asked about signing day, remember what he said?
we have big picture thinking too. So we're not reaching or we're not signing kids because they're from this school or that school or any of that stuff, okay? We're going to sign the best players that we can on Wednesday, then go to the portal, which I have zero concern about the interest of players with that. Because I know what the interest was of players nationally, come play for us where we were just at. And now when you put that with this stadium and with that logo, I mean, makes me want to go get on the phone right now. But the portal's not open.
So we're not reaching. We're not signing a guy just who went to this school or that school. We're going to sign the best players, and then we're going to go ham in the portal. That's something that keeps getting underscored to me over and over again is that LSU has a formidable war chest ready to roll for the portal. And right now, I don't know that LSU is going to finish with a top 10, top 5 class. I don't think necessarily that's their intention because they're not going to sign 20, 25 guys. Right now they're at, with signatures in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 11 signatures in, and they're waiting on 5 more. Lamar Brown, Deuce Gerald, Trenton Henderson, Dylan Purter, Bryson Cooley. So you're talking about getting maybe to 16 or 17 if Duckworth gets in the class. So you're not signing a giant number there. You're really going to go ham in the portal in January. So stay tuned. Okay, we're brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Windows, door, siding. Oh, yeah, they do shutters too. Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Energy-efficient replacement windows, beautiful entry doors, hardy plank vinyl siding. They do it all. They do it better than anyone. They are for a lifetime transferable warranty. Listen, if you want to go get quotes, you need to replace your windows. Get it. You want to go get quotes, fine. Just understand, Relief Windows is never going to be the cheapest. They're not. I'm telling you that up front. If you're going to get 5 quotes to see who's going to sell your windows at the cheapest price, that will never be Relief Windows. But they offer a premium product, the best customer service, the best install, service after the sale, lifetime transferable warranty, and they've been long enough to prove they can back up a lifetime transferable warranty. It's Relief Windows. Windows, door, siding, they do shutters too. Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Okay, y'all, we're going to head to Tampa. Our buddy Greg Auman from Fox Sports, covers the NFC South, primarily the Bucs there in Tampa, is going to jump aboard with us here in just a smidge. We'll preview Saints-Bucs from the Tampa perspective. Bottom of this hour, I want to circle back to the Blake Baker conversation, some updated odds on who the Tulane coach is going to be. I'll tell you what I know as of right now. Russ Mitchell will be here in hour number 3, so we got a lot to do, and glad you're hanging out with us here on AFR.
AFR.
I was over at Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness earlier today, and there's a very interesting thing that's starting to happen. I'm very pleased to hear this. It means a lot of this is resonating with you. If you're a man and you're on hormone replacement therapy, testosterone, sermorelin, growth hormone, whatever it may be, if you're on hormone therapy already, I really want you to consider what it would take for you to switch from your current clinic to Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. And I want to submit this to you. First of all, number 1, they've got the lowest prices, never any contracts, okay? There is no membership fee. There are some places where you have to pay like a monthly membership fee just to get your testosterone. Never a membership fee. And when you do your blood labs every 6 months, they don't charge you for that. They pick up the cost of your blood labs. That alone is reason to switch. I want you to consider switching. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
After further review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Glad you're rolling along with us here on this Hump Day edition of AFR. Russ Mitchell will be here in 1 hour from right now. I do want to give you an update as well. We'll go a little bit more detail here in about 15 minutes on what's going on over at Tulane, where we told you yesterday it sounds like Billy Napier might be pushing to the front for the Tulane coaching odds. The 4 names that I've heard as candidates for Tulane are Blake Baker, Billy Napier, Shannon Dawson, and Neil Brown. Those are the 4. And what seems to be a little bit at odds here is the difference is the athletic director, some of the administration want a coach with head coaching experience. That's what they had with their previous two coaches, right? With Fritz and with Summerall, both had been head coaches before. So Blake Baker, he would be a first-time head coach. There are boosters, however, who very much favor Blake Baker getting the head coaching job. So it's a little split there. I don't know how it's all going to shake. I do know that Baker is intending to be back at LSU, but if your alma mater offers you the head coaching job, I think we could all understand why he would accept it if it's there. So we'll keep you posted as that continues to develop. Saints at Bucks this weekend. Greg Auman, Fox Sports, going to have to join us for a couple of minutes. Hey, Greg, we always appreciate the time, man. How are you?
Oh, good. Hope you guys are too.
Doing awesome, man. We appreciate it. Okay, they're all big in the NFL, but when you look at Tampa, only a half-game lead in the division right now against Carolina, does this one take on greater importance?
I think so. I mean, because things are so tight. I mean, the Bucs are still in a position where they control their destiny. They just need to not slip up. I mean, this is a team that hasn't really taken a bad loss yet. Like, they've lost 5 games, but they're all kind of teams you'd have, top 10 in the power rankings, that kind of thing. So I think for them, I think it's just a feeling of they took care of things with the Saints pretty well in New Orleans, and they just need to do the same thing again and make it easy down the rest of the way.
How different are the Bucs today than the team that beat New Orleans 23-3 in the Superdome last month?
I forget who exactly was there, who wasn't there, but I think they're definitely getting healthier. I think that was, you think about offensive pieces coming back, to have Bucky Irving, I don't think they had their right tackle, Luke Gedeke, that day, if I remember right. Starting to get receivers back. They have Chris Godwin back. They could, in theory, have Mike Evans back. I don't know if that's going to happen that quickly. No, I just think it's one of those where they've been, for the most of this season, an incomplete team, especially on offense. And they're just now starting to get kind of all the pieces together. But again, that doesn't mean that they win a game just because they got more pieces together. They have to take care of things for sure.
Greg, can you give us the update on Mike Evans?
Yeah, I mean, they opened he's had a broken clavicle, broken collarbone, and they opened his 21-day window to return to practice today. The Bucs really don't practice on Wednesdays. They essentially have a walkthrough practice, so it doesn't really mean a whole lot that he did anything today. I think tomorrow's kind of the first day where you'll be able to tell something. And Todd Bowles today was talking about how he thinks physically he's in really good shape. He's been running for a while, so the main thing is, how does he handle contact? How does he handle running routes and changing the direction of his body and things like that? So I think they feel good about him. I don't know if they feel good enough to just throw him out there on Sunday. Like, they could wait. They have a short week and have the Falcons on Thursday. But, yeah, I mean, I think this is a step in the right direction. I think they just want to be careful to make sure they don't rush him and put him at risk of any kind of re-injury.
What about Baker?
Baker seems fine. I mean, Baker, had an injury to his non-throwing shoulder that definitely made last week, and this time last week, a big question mark. But played the entire game, didn't really take any hits last week, which helped. I think he was probably a little more careful about how he scrambled. Made sure he slid one time where he kind of had the open field, ran out of bounds another time. So I don't know that he's like full strength. He's been limited with a foot, with an oblique, with shoulder. But definitely not a question mark. He'll play on Sunday.
Greg Auman's with us. Fox Sports covers the NFC South and primarily the Tampa Bay Bucks there down in Tampa Bay. So, Greg, let's talk a little bit about this Tampa Bay defense. They're going to face Tyler Shuck. The first time they played, of course, it was Spencer Rattler under center. Remind us here about where that Tampa defense, where the strengths are and where maybe the vulnerabilities might be.
Yeah, they've kind of had an up and down season. Definitely not as good overall as they'd like to be. They're very good in takeaways. They're fine with sacks. I don't think they're getting the pressure they'd like to from their front four. Obviously, a good run defense team, Vita Vea, a big run clogger up the middle. They added Hassan Reddick as an outside pass rusher. He really hasn't had the impact that they would have liked for paying him $14 million. That first Saints game, obviously the big game for Anthony Nelson, who had subbed in as a part-time guy and had obviously the big pick six and forced a fumble in that game. So no, their secondary has probably been better than expected, but their pass defense I don't think has been what they want it to be. So there's definitely a sense of, I think facing a Saints team that's still missing, with the exception of Olave, they're missing a lot of their best offensive weapons. So I think if you can take care of Chris and keep him from taking over the game, there aren't too many guys that you'd say would beat you right now. It's a game they should win. They just have to be careful and do the right things.
In that 3-game losing streak, Greg, the Pats, Bills, and Rams, they gave up 28, 44, and 34. It averaged 35 points allowed in those games. What happened in that stretch?
Yeah, it's a couple different things. I mean, I think that, again, didn't get the pressure they needed. They didn't have Reddick in that stretch. They were missing at least one corner. They had 2 games where Dean wasn't there, and their rookie Benjamin Morrison wasn't there one game. So more than anything, I think they just haven't played well against the pass, haven't gotten off the field on third downs. This Bulls defense sometimes, I think, can be overcomplicated a little bit to where there's so many exotic things they're trying that sometimes even players that have been in the system for multiple years, like some of these players have been, can make mistakes and can leave seams open, and your better veteran quarterbacks. I mean, they kind of had a run there where they played Drake May and Josh Allen and Matthew Stafford back to back to back. So basically 3 of your top 5 or 6 MVP candidates right now. And it's been problematic for them. I think they definitely thought they'd be a better defense than they have been to this point. And they really don't have the same injuries to blame. On offense, they can say they're down these players, they're missing these 5 or 6 players. On defense, they're still missing Kalaiza Cansey, who's a really good defensive tackle for them. But beyond that, they're basically a healthy team on defense. They just haven't played as well as they should.
Greg Auman's with us here for a couple of more minutes from Fox Sports. When they have struggled defensively, what have been the things that teams have done well against Tampa?
I think it's 11 touchdowns of 25 yards or more, which is the highest in the NFL. 4 of them by rushing. I think they had given up 3 rushing touchdowns that long in Bowls' first 6 seasons. So more in 1 year than they had in the first 6. So just giving up a lot of bad long plays. And that's not just one person. There's not go attack this guy. They've had problems across the board. And again, somebody like Olave is definitely someone that you'd worry about for them in that sense. But, I think they've done better from a takeaway standpoint than certainly they were last year, and probably better than they expect to be this year. It's just a little bit of a sink or swim kind of home run or strikeout kind of thing, where if they get to the quarterback, it's a sack fumble and it's takeaway. But if they don't get home, that blitz opens up a vulnerability and a hole that some of these quarterbacks have been able to really exploit and get to the end zone with.
What do you think the blueprint is for Todd Bowles on Sunday to get a win and get a little winning streak going?
Definitely starts with takeaways, just not committing turnovers as an offense, not doing anything to make things easier for the Saints. They've been pretty good about taking the ball away. So, multiple turnovers on defense, takeaways. I think anytime you're facing a young quarterback like Tyler Shuck, I think they're going to try and throw him off, try and misdirect different looks before the snap, pressure where you don't expect it, and try and, I think because they're missing Kamara, they're probably not as good in the run game. So I think you want to almost take away the run and force this to be a game where Tyler's throwing it 35, 40 times a game. That's how you're going to get to predictable throws and multiple turnovers and those kind of things.
We can see Tristan Wirfs catch another touchdown.
I don't know that. He showed up with an oblique injury on the injury report today. I think that went well. I'd be surprised if they go to that well again a week later. But big moment for Tristan, and I know he was super excited to get to have a touchdown. I guess he had 2 in high school, so it's not his first ones, but but not many for a big guy like that.
Can't imagine high schoolers trying to tackle that man. That's incredible.
Right.
Greg Auman, Fox Sports. Hey, man, we appreciate it, Greg. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. Have a good one.
All right. It's after further review. We're brought to you by First South Farm Credit, firstsouthland.com, firstsouthland.com. Thinking of buying land? Your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. Of course, you can log on to firstsouthland.com. That's firstsouthland.com for First South Farm Credit. The patronage refund is something I've told you about for years, as we've talked about First South Farm Credit, which effectively lowers your cost of buying land, of borrowing. So let's say it effectively reduces your cost of borrowing by about 1%. So let's say your rate's 5%. Well, the patronage refund effectively means like you're paying 4%. So learn more about that program. And man, if you were thinking about buying that hunting property, if it's 1,000 acres for agriculture, maybe 100 acres to build your family's dream home, whatever it is, you want to buy land, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit, because for 100 years, more than 100 years, since 1916, First South Farm Credit has done one thing, and they've done it better than everyone else. They help Louisianians buy land anywhere in the lower 48. FirstSouthland.com. That's FirstSouthland.com. All right, y'all, it is After Further Review. Glad you're hanging out with us here on this Hump Day edition of AFR. We are presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. It is a National Signing Day, the early signing period, so we are going to continue to keep an eye on what's going on there with LSU as Lane Kiffin's trying to put the finishing touches here on his first signing class at LSU. As we get more updates, we'll pass it along. The latest update right here at the top of this hour was that Havon Finney, the cornerback out of California, did in fact sign his paperwork, so he's officially an LSU Tiger. So we'll keep you posted on that as the day continues to roll along. If any of these others do commit, I guess the only other ones we'd be looking for today are Trenton Henderson and Dylan Purter. So Lamar Brown looks like he will not sign today. Deuce Gerald's out of Georgia. He's expected to sign by Friday, but will not sign today. And then Bryson Cooley, the offensive lineman out of Laurel, Mississippi. Billy Embody of On3 reported that he'll sign on Friday, and he'll choose among LSU, Ole Miss, and Alabama, who are continuing to push for his commitment. So stay tuned on that one. All right, it is After Further Review. We're glad you're with us. We'll knock out a quick break, come back, get you updated on what we know about Blake Baker and Tulane and all that stuff. Stay here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. If you've been injured in an accident, that's not your fault. Do what injured people in our state have done for 3 decades. Get Gordon and get it done. As a matter of fact, in 8 days, we'll be doing the show over at Gordon's office right there off of College Drive in Baton Rouge. And excited, or I guess it's off of Corporate in Baton Rouge, but right there off the interstate. Fantastic day as it'll be the Gordon Bicycle Giveaway in Baton Rouge. Now, they do the bike giveaways at the Gordon McKernan Injury Attorney offices all over the state of Louisiana. But the Baton Rouge Bike Giveaway Day is coming up a week from tomorrow, so Thursday the 11th. Gordon is giving away 600 bicycles to less fortunate children around the state of Louisiana. So you can go to gordonsbikes.com, gordonsbikes.com if you want to learn more. We're just excited to be there next week to participate in this really cool day and cool giveaway where you're going to get to see so many children thrilled and happy to get a brand new bicycle. You know what to do. Get Gordon and get it done.
After Further Review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
LouisianaSports.net and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge are teaming up to send you to the All-State Sugar Bowl. Enter now for your chance to win 2 tickets to the big game in New Orleans on Thursday, January 1st, plus a 2-night stay in the city and $200 in expenses. Don't miss it. Head to LouisianaSports.net/contest to enter. We'll announce the winner Monday, December 8th.
One of the big stories as Lane Kiffin continues to put together his coaching staff is going to be what happens with Blake Baker, LSU's defensive coordinator. And I think a lot of this is known as of this point, but we're starting to put some of the pieces of the puzzle together for what it's worth. And I know we went through these odds all throughout the LSU coaching search. The odds to be Tulane's next head coach right now, we have them up at LouisianaSports.net if you want to go read this piece. But Blake Baker is actually now the odds-on favorite to be the next head coach at Tulane at 2-1 odds. He's followed by Billy Napier, who's right behind him at 3-1. Charles Huff is 4-1, then Shannon Dawson 5-1. Tyson Helton, Will Hall, Brian Kelly at 10-1, interestingly enough. Then some other long shots there. But I think we've talked about this a good bit. Blake Baker on Monday did interview for the Tulane head coaching job, and it'll be interesting to see what direction Tulane goes, because as I understand it, it's split there. That you have a lot of boosters and people close to that program that really want Blake Baker to get this job. I mean, he played at Tulane in the early 2000s. That's been a really good G6 program. Now back-to-back coaches with Willie Fritz and John Sumrall getting Power 4 jobs off of, as a springboard from Tulane. So with a really good coach like Blake Baker, it would be an interesting spot if he wanted to go be the head coach at his alma mater. And while, as I'm told, Blake Baker has expressed that he intends to stay at LSU verbally, and I reported that Baker was in that meeting Tuesday night with Lane Kiffin, GM Billy Glasscock, and representatives for Richard Anderson. He's continuing to work for LSU naturally, but until a deal is done, I'm going to say the same thing I said all throughout the Lane Kiffin thing. Until the deal is done, the signed, ink dry, coach at the podium being introduced, it's not done. So Baker may fully intend to return to LSU unless and until he gets offered a head coaching job, and particularly at his alma mater. Now, our buddy Garland Gillen down in New Orleans is also reporting that Blake Baker has interviewed for, he's with WVUE, that Blake Baker is interviewed for the Memphis head coaching job as well. So Tulane and Memphis now both interviewing Blake Baker for their vacant head coaching job. And this is part of the deal, man. I mean, you have a great assistant, they're going to be sought after for promotions. That's what you want, because the alternative is you hire bad assistants that you end up firing because they're not very good. So, the onus is on the head coach to make sure you keep hiring good assistant coaches. I had mentioned there were 4 people I was told it was really in the mix for the Tulane job. It was Napier and Blake Baker, Shannon Dawson, who's the OC at Miami, and then Neil Brown was the other. Neil Brown, the former West Virginia head coach. Well, Neil Brown has now been named, this is official, he has been named the head coach at North Texas. So he replaces Eric Morris, who took the head coaching job at Oklahoma State. So the coaching carousel is spinning. So you eliminate Neil Brown from the mix there for the Tulane job. He'll be coaching another team that wears green. But we'll keep an eye. And Baker remains of great interest to this conversation because, obviously he's a great coach. Players love him, tons of energy. But keeping Baker in tow really solidifies the continuity on the defensive staff, because if Blake Baker were to leave, it is very likely that he would bring with him Kevin Peoples, the edge coach, and Jake Olson, the safeties coach, who both came from Missouri to LSU on Baker's staff. They were on Baker's defensive staff at Missouri and came to Baton Rouge when Blake got the DC job here. So you would be turning over not only effectively your whole offensive staff with Lane Kiffin coming in, but at least 3 members, possibly 4 members of your defensive staff, depending on what happens with Kyle Williams, if Blake Baker gets one of these head coaching jobs. So, listen, I'm impossibly torn here. On a personal level, you love to see people succeed, and Blake's a great dude, and players love him, and he's a fantastic coach, and you want to see him get a great opportunity to be a head coach. You'd hate to lose him at LSU. But really, it comes down to a decision that Blake Baker would have to make. Do you want your path to being a Power 4 head coach to be from being a successful coordinator at a major program, or do you want to go cut your teeth at a G6 program, have success, and then springboard into the Power 4? That's what Willie Fritz did. Went from Georgia State to Tulane, then to Houston, which is now in the Big 12. What John Summerall did, going from Troy to Tulane, now to the University of Florida. So do you want to follow that path? Go from Tulane to potentially a Power 4 job, or do you want to do something like what Dave Aranda did, LSU DC to Baylor? What Dan Lanning did, Georgia DC to Oregon? Or Kirby Smart, Alabama DC to Georgia? Those opportunities are there. They may not be as plentiful as G6 jobs to go be a head coach, and certainly not at your alma mater if Tulane offers. So it's just for Lane Kiffin right now, the immediacy was, as you're just sort of checking the box of what he had to do. One is, all right, who's coming with you from Ole Miss? That's immediacy. Who's coming on your staff from Ole Miss? Boom. And now, because of the calendar being as stupid as it is, Lane Kiffin shows up here on Sunday, and 72 hours later, less than 72 hours later, it's signing day. So there was all this path of, all right, let's evaluate very quickly the commitments, the roster, what are the needs, all that sort of stuff within 48 hours and get ready for signing day, which is happening now. And then once signing day or the signing period is done, so the focus will shift back to finishing out the staff, then looking at, all right, what's going to be available in the transfer portal. So a whirlwind first few days here for for Lane Kiffin, and maybe no bigger staff decision than Blake Baker. And what's going to happen there as we watch to see with Blake. Will he be back at LSU, or will he get one of these head coaching jobs? As we know, we'll certainly pass it along to you. We're brought to you by Parish Construction and Roofing, parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. Do business with someone you know. Me, Terrio, Tilly, Joe Morales, our whole staff at Parish Construction and Roofing. Tell you all the time, roof repairs, roof replacements. We do gutters, soft wash. We can do it all. So maybe you got all that gunk and grime on your roof. We can come soft wash your roof, beautify it. That'll actually get all that algae off your roof. We can extend the life of your roof. It'll make your roof healthier. We can also soft wash the front of your home, the exterior of your home, your hardscape, everything. So we want to beautify your home and your exterior spaces before your Christmas party at your house. We can help you out at Parish Construction and Roofing. Go to parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. We'll always give you that free, no-obligation roof inspection for any type of roof, commercial or residential. Of course, with TPO and any type of roof you can imagine. Parish Construction and Roofing, parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. Well, it is after further review. Glad you're hanging out with us here. Musil do Tigers and the Pros to wrap up hour number 2 in just a bit. Russ Mitchell will be here in about 45 minutes as well. Lots of opinions coming in on Lane Kiffin, all the goings on there as well. This was an interesting one that I heard yesterday. I was driving home. I was listening to the Chuck Oliver show. You know, Chuck's based in Atlanta and does a college football show, 365 days a year. And every Tuesday, Chuck has Dave Bartu on with him. I mean, you may not know the name, but Dave Bartu has an organization called College Football Matrix. The way Dave describes it is he tells stories with numbers. So he's an analytical guy. And so he puts grades effectively to coaches and staffs and things like that. And so he has clients that are coaches and athletic directors, even NFL teams that ask for his analytical opinion on certain coaches, head coaches, coordinators, all that sort of stuff, grades, rating, who's good, all that, whatever. So it was interesting. I was driving home and I heard Chuck ask Dave about Lane Kiffin coming to LSU. And so it's just an interesting dynamic because you're not getting the opinion of a former coach or a former player or someone who's emotional because of how Lane Kiffin left. You're just getting someone with an analytical brain who's got these metrics in place about what it means to have Lane Kiffin at LSU. Thought this was interesting.
I mean, what he's done at Ole Miss is way above the talent. Ole Miss is a career second, third-tier recruiter. Mm-hmm. You know, for the century, I think they're 17th in the country. That doesn't win national titles ever. And so the fact that they're in the conversation is amazing. Lane has staffed well, and so now that he's at LSU, look, I don't care if it's Lane Kiffin at LSU or John Summerall at LSU. You know, you give him a good coach. LSU has the third most NFL starts in the last 10 years. The talent's there. It always has been. Good Lord, man. Ed Orgeron won a national title at LSU. So LSU has the talent. Now they got a good head coach who is pretty good in one-score games. And here's the big kicker. Does he get to keep Baker and that entire defensive staff? That thing was top 10 through week about 9. If that whole defensive staff comes back with Lane, it's just national championship conversation right now.
National championship conversation right now. The thing that I've been asked so much on every interview I've done since Kiffin's been hired is, what are the expectations year one or the first 3 years? How much of a grace period ramp up does he have? And the answer is none. You have no grace period. You have no ramp up. There is no such thing as a slow build anymore. You have the portal. You have NIL. You have all the resources you need. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Kurt Signee took over the worst job in college football history. Indiana and Rutgers are the two worst power programs in power conferences in college football history. Kurt Signee walked in and in year one got them in the playoff, and in year two has them in the playoff. Verge Osbury sat at a podium when he was introduced as the interim AD and said, unequivocally, LSU has to be in the playoff every year. That may not be a realistic expectation, but that is the expectation. And you don't need to hear me say it. An analytical guy just said, yeah, it's compete for national championships immediately. That is a realistic expectation. Days like today are a big part of it. Of course, the portal coming up in January as well. All right, it's after further review. Brought to you by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness, title sponsor for our Hump Day shows all throughout the year. Let me knock out our final break of hour number 2. We'll come back. Music, do Tigers and the Pros. Stick around.
AFR.
It is not too late to give your family a swimming pool for Christmas. Oh, Scone, what are you talking about? A swimming pool for Christmas? What is this? The Griswolds? I mean, it could be at your home. Mele Kalikimaka and all that stuff playing in the background. Why not? Be a heck of a Christmas morning, wouldn't it? You can do it. Hey, look, here's what I want you to do. If you've ever even thought, man, I'd love to put in a pool. I want, for whatever your objection has been, price, all the mess it might cause, whatever. Here, I just want you to take this one step. Okay, I want you to go to their website, duplessisbuilders.net, duplessisbuilders.net, duplessisbuilders.net. Just take this first explorative step. Go to the Pick Your Pool tab on the homepage. You'll see 11 different designs already made, how you can work through it, pick your finishes. It's all right there for you. Do that right now. duplessisbuilders.net.
After further review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
All right, wrapping up hour number 2. Glad you're hanging out with us here. Russ Mitchell in about 25 minutes. We'll give you the full National Signing Day recap and all that good stuff as well. By the way, Ole Miss Athletic Director Keith Carter was a guest on Super Talk Mississippi, and we heard Lane Kiffin on Monday kind of give, Sunday in the interview with Marty Smith, and then Monday at his press conference, his kind of account of how things went, and then through various statements. Keith Carter, the AD at Ole Miss, was on Super Talk Mississippi, gave his account. So we'll hear what the Ole Miss Athletic Director had to say. We'll get to that coming up after SportsCenter here in about 10 minutes from right now. But right now, Musso has Tigers and the Pros.
Tigers in the Pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
Let's start with a quick injury update from around the NFL here involving the former Tigers. Patrick Queen, told you yesterday, he suffered a glute injury in their game Sunday against the Bills. He did not practice today dealing with that glute. It's expected that he will end up missing some time there, which is disappointing. Lloyd Cushenberry for the Tennessee Titans, he's got a foot. He also did not participate today. Don't know if it's a toe, but it's definitely a foot.
And as we determined, the toe is not part of the foot. It's just connected to the foot.
Right.
The toe is completely different from the foot.
And as we talked about a little bit last week, Jaden Daniels expected back at practice here this week was left elbow limited for the Commanders in today's practice. And then
elbow?
Left elbow specifically.
He's got an elbow?
Yeah, he's missed 4 games, I believe, already with it as well.
With an elbow.
With a left elbow.
With a left elbow.
Left elbow. And Reed Ferguson
totally different from the right elbow.
Reed Ferguson returned to practice for the Bills. He's got a neck. He was a full participant today, though.
Glad to hear that.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of Reed.
Yes.
Yeah, big fan of Reed. Not a big fan of Blake.
You don't like Blake as much.
No. Reed's the Yankee fan. Blake is a blank. A blankety blank. Yankee hater.
Yes. Blake's a great guy. Hey, if you were watching the Pelicans last night.
Thanks.
Why? But if you were watching the Pelicans last night.
I was listening.
Yeah, autograph. Yeah.
Yeah.
Naz Reid had a great night in the Smoothie King Center for the Timberwolves. 18 points, shot 50% from the field and from 3. Also assisted on 5 makes and grabbed 5 rebounds. He's awesome. And I kind of wish he played for the Pelicans.
Should have stayed.
Yeah.
Why would you wish that evil upon him?
Because I like Naz Reid a lot, and I think he could make the team better.
No, he wouldn't.
You know what he does?
He would come here.
He stays healthy.
Nope. He would come here and he would get hurt and be part of a miserable organization that's poorly run with bad ownership, bad front office. They make bad decisions on everything. They don't keep guys healthy. It would be terrible. I don't wish that on Naz Reid at all.
Speaking of NBA injuries, a couple real quick. Cam Thomas, he's missed 4 weeks. Friday will mark 4 weeks with a left hamstring. He is getting per the Nets head coach, an MRI at the end of this week, so they'll follow up soon. They're expecting good news. And then Trenton Watford will be reevaluated next week for an adductor injury. That's Tigers and Pros.
Presented by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service. ShawBillsTire.com. ShawBillsTire.com. Y'all, if you are hitting the road for Christmas, going to see family, make sure before you do, you check out our friends at Shawbills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com. If you need new tires, remember, Shawbills is going to sell you the best tires on the road at the cheapest price possible. They got their Driving Home for the Holidays promotion. Right now, you can get a $150 MasterCard prepaid card after submission when you buy a set of 4 new Select Nitto brand tires. That offer is valid through December the 14th. So you've got 11 days to take advantage of that. You can get all the info at ShawBillsTire.com or in-store, ShawBillsTire.com. ShawBillsTire.com. Shawbills. We keep you rolling. All right, great to have you aboard with us here on signing day. Tigers out there doing work. Lane Kiffin's first signing class of the LSU Tigers. The New Orleans Saints, meanwhile, back on the practice field as they get ready for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers down in Tampa this weekend. And the injury report is kind of a, you hate to say, but a star-studded Saints injury report, as a lot of key guys on the team were not there at practice today. So Taliesin Fuaga, Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, Justin Reed, all did not practice for the New Orleans Saints here as they push off from the dock, getting ready for their game down in Tampa against the Bucs. So as the week goes along, we'll keep you updated on all that. Tampa's injury list is a bit longer. The Saints more significant. Hour 2 after SportsCenter.
AFR.
Check that. It's going to be hour 3 after SportsCenter. We did not invent a DeLorean, hop in, crank that thing up to 88, and go back in time. But if we did, of course, we would go back in time, and we would still find parish restoration, because it doesn't matter if it was last hour, last year, last decade. If you need remediation, if water intrusion, you have mold, think you need to sanitize your home, office, other public space, commercial space, parish restoration can help. It's more effective, it's more cost-effective, and it's more efficient. Their crews are friendly, they're expertly trained, they're going to come in, they have these Sprinter vans, they'll drive up to your home, your office. If you need your vehicle, maybe your vehicle had water intrusion. Maybe you bought a used car from a smoker, someone had pets in the vehicle, it has that odor. Easy. Come up, spray the patented non-toxic dry fog. As soon as the fog dissipates, boom, back in, free and clear. ParishRestoration.com.